What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the NPCs that you're going to want to know about in Fortnite Chapter 7. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more, comment down below which NPC you take advantage of most or that you think is the most helpful in Chapter 7. And if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolvedJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So typically these videos focus on the hired NPCs around the map, but the first set of characters I'm going to talk about are not actually hired NPCs at all, but they have really good abilities. So the thing that you can purchase from these NPCs actually will change game to game. It's just completely random which one you get. But these NPCs have the ability to give you gold, which can be pretty helpful this season. They can max out your ammo for 500 gold, which is also something that can be really helpful this season because lots of players have struggled to get medium ammo. Fortnite has increased the spawn rate of medium ammo, but it is still, a struggle from time to time. Or they can upgrade your weapon's rarity, and that's what I find to be the most helpful. If, you have a weapon that's lacking in rarity, or maybe if it is even lacking, you can go from purple to gold, or purple rarity to gold for only 500 gold. And with how easy it is to get gold in Chapter 6 or Chapter 7, that's actually really helpful. So they can give you gold, they can max out your ammo, or they can upgrade your weapon. And there's actually 4 NPCs on the map that do this. Jonesy is at Interloop Labs. The Unpeely NPC is at Wonkyland. The Bride NPC is at Sandy Strip. And then Hope is at Classified Canyon. And as I said, it's just random game to game what they do. One game you might land on Jonesy and he might give you some gold. The next you might land on him, he'll offer to max out your ammo for 500 gold. And then the game after that, he might upgrade your weapon. It's just random game to game. What these NPCs do can vary, but some of the upgrading aspect I find to be really helpful. The traditional hired NPC specialists have returned in Chapter 7. There currently is no scout specialist NPC on the map that I'm aware of. These are the ones that periodically scan the area, and those are often the ones that people kind of rate the highest. That is currently not in the game. Maybe it will come at some point within the next update or two, but as of now, there's no scout NPCs to my knowledge. The healer NPC, there is actually 2. There is Kingston at Bumpy Bay, and then the Cat Holloway skin at Humble Hills. And if you hire this NPC, they will follow you around the map and periodically splash you one time for every kind of cooldown that happens. I never really liked these healer NPCs that much, especially once they nerfed them to only splash you once, and they splash you on cooldown whether or not you need it or not. So there's times where it could just be completely wasted. Obviously there are situations where having that one splash maybe lets you survive a situation that you wouldn't otherwise, especially if you're in Storm. This could be something that's pretty helpful, but for the most part, the frequency at which these heal and how often they heal, or sorry, that's the same thing. How often they heal and how much they heal is just not really that great. I think just getting 20 health periodically, it helps, but it's not really going to be that big of a game changer. If they splashed you 4 times and you were getting 80 health every time they did that, that'd be a pretty big deal. But it takes a decent amount of time between healing instances, and then also you only get 20, which really isn't that big of a deal. And it's not like you can hire this NPC and then just not carry heals because of that. It's not that good, and I feel like for the most part that makes it just really not that useful. The heavy specialists I'm also not the biggest fan of. I could see a world in squads maybe where just having this create some chaos is helpful, and there's actually 2 heavy specialists on the map as well. There's Carter Wu at Latte Landing, and then Miles Cross at Painted Palms. And what these NPCs do is they just throw grenades periodically, and that, maybe they throw it at a bush and force somebody out of a bush or break the bush, and that's really helpful to you. But for the most part, the grenades aren't that good this season. They're not as busted as the cluster clinger NPCs were when we had those in the game. And I've often found that these are just more inconvenient to you than they actually are helpful, because with the heavy NPCs, typically when they're eliminated, they'll drop grenades on their body. And so if you're behind cover kind of having a mid-range fight with an enemy and they kill your NPC, the NPC dropping grenades might just completely force you out of your cover or break your cover and put you in a bad situation. How good these are, I think, really varies, but I've never really been that fond of the heavy specialist NPCs. And then the final NPC that we're going to talk about this season that can be hired is going to be the supply specialist NPC. And I've often thought these were incredibly good in Zero Build. And Kuroma is at Battlewood Boulevard this season. And I think this NPC, again, is going to be something that's really helpful to have because shockwaves are a mobility item that a lot of players are using. And with these supply NPCs, they give you ammo or supplies based on what you're holding out for when it's time for them to resupply you. And so if you're holding out shockwaves, they'll drop a stack of 3 shockwaves for you to pick up. And I'm sure you guys know, like, having 3 shockwaves is a big deal. That's a lot of movement that you actually get from just one resupply instance from this NPC. And so if you are someone who's, you know, having a hard time staying topped off on shockwaves, or maybe you're just in a situation where you're low on shockwaves, Battlewood Boulevard is in zone, you could maybe go hire this NPC real quick, and then they will supply you with shockwaves rather than looking around the map desperately searching for them. So I don't really actively go out of my way to hire the NPCs often in Fortnite, aside from making these videos, but it is something that I'll take advantage of in an instance like that. Like if I'm low and I happen to be there, then sure, that's much better than not having any shockwaves at all. You do need to have, you know, that initial shockwave to hold out when it's for them to resupply you and give it to you, but they very quickly make themselves worth the gold purchase that you put into them. They can also supply you with bunkers if that's what you hold out when it's time for them to resupply you. And with how this season has played out, bunkers have been very helpful. I would imagine, especially in team game modes with how some of the fights can drag out, having porta bunkers is a big deal. And having this NPC essentially give you unlimited porta bunkers or unlimited shockwaves is something that is just going to prove valuable probably several times over the course of the match. I feel like the heavy NPC and the heal NPC are very specific or like niche situations where they actually, you know, really help you or maybe change the outcome of the game. But the supply NPC, keeping you topped off on shocks, keeping you topped off on bunkers, is something that's just going to be really, really good all the time. They do kind of bug out sometimes where they just don't give you what you hold out. Like you might be holding shockwaves and then they just give you shotgun ammo. That can happen, but the way it's supposed to work is that it gives you ammo for what you have out or the item that you currently have out if it's a supply item that it can resupply. So it's Fortnite, so things always kind of can break or be inconsistent or be weird. But the way it's supposed to work is you hold the thing out and then it gives you that thing. And so if you need ammo, that's helpful. Or if you need supplies, that can also be helpful. It doesn't give you heals or anything like that. To my knowledge, bunkers and shockwaves are like the only supplies that it will actually drop for you. The final thing I want to talk about is going to be that there's 2 NPCs currently on the map that you can eliminate to get a purple Forsaken Blade. And that is going to be the dummy NPC at Ripped Tides. And then the bride NPC at Sandy Strip will also drop the purple Forsaken Blade when you eliminate them. And so the gold Forsaken Blade is obviously better. You have 3 uses instead of 2, and you use less durability for each charge. But just having this NPC on the map be a potential guaranteed source of mobility is something that can really help you. I like landing Ripped Tides a lot to potentially get the mythic pump shotgun. There is a gold portal at Ripped Tides, but in the instance where I don't get the gold portal or maybe someone lands on it and takes it, I'm happy to have the chance to eliminate the dummy NPC and then at least have a purple one. Like having that purple one is significantly better than not having any mobility at all. So if you are landing near or around Ripped Tides or Sandy Strip, this might be something you want to go for. Or if you just happen to find yourself in a match with no mobility and you're near one of those POIs, that's something you could potentially do to at least get some mobility for yourself. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below which NPC you think is most helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.